Hello there, panelists, and welcome once again to the CP Confidential Chair. Now, the question of the day is morality innate or is it learned? Let's think about it and let's get the conversation started.
So I am a psych major, so I'm just everything psych. I go by psychology rules. Everyone has a basic sense of right or wrong that you're born with. You can see it in babies, toddlers. It's not learned. Yes, you learn specific speculations to them and specifications to these rules, but everyone has a basic sense of right versus wrong that you're naturally born with, and that's just the way it is.
I see both sides of the argument, but personally, I think that everything we know in this world is learned. Like, I believe everything I believe today because of what I learned as a youth. And I think that's the same case with everybody else. In terms of morality, yeah, you can make the argument that, you know what's right and wrong. But I feel like you have to have learned what was right and what was wrong. We learn through experiences. When you do something bad as a child, they beat you, they might spank you on the hand or whatever to let you know that you did something wrong. And from then, you keep it in your mind. So that automatically eliminates the fact that it was innate.
Well, yeah, I definitely do believe morality is definitely a learned thing. Like, I can see both sides, but we learn from visual representation from how our family brought us up and how we look at society. So I can see the both sides where you see we have a conscience when we're born, but you definitely learn things as you grow up and see the bad or good.
We're all born with a moral compass. That's what I believe. People can say you learn from what your family is doing, what you see, what society teaches you. That's true to a certain extent, but you're born knowing what's right and what's wrong.
I think this question is very funny because when you look at both aspects of the argument, it kind of goes back to the studies that have already been made. You have the blank state theory, right? Which basically states that, everyone comes into this world with a blank state, with their conscience and everything, comes to this world with a blank slate. Then you also have the veneer theory. Veneer theory is, that basically means that we have inner demonic thoughts and tendencies.
If society, depending on which society you live in, certain things are acceptable and certain things are not. So to say, I might be contradicting myself here, but it's to explain my point that it's something you're born with as a foundation. If society tells you that killing a person is okay, then you're going to believe it's okay. Now, naturally, when you're born, you're going to choose a side based off of that compass. Naturally, I believe we're all thinking killing is wrong. But then if society came and everybody's telling you, no, that's okay, that's normal, you're going to start believing, you're going to learn that that's an okay thing. So you're born with it and you fine tune that as you go based on what society's telling you.
As a child, we are natural at, knowing the difference between right and wrong. There's two studies, I believe, that, that have been conducted to prove that, as babies are, they know the difference between right and wrong. There's so many arguments that people have tried to pose that, they say that, okay, but you learned this from somewhere. That's true. So that now brings down the question that, okay, so is it completely, absolutely innate, or is it, to an extent? And that comes down to my opinion. I believe it's innate to an extent. And as you grow as an individual, your society kind of brings everything together and makes you understand okay, in this society, this is what's okay.
Just to kind of respond to what Aisha just said, you just said that kids, babies are born innately knowing what's right and wrong. So how do you explain when kids just start throwing temper tantrums? Doesn't their moral conscience guide them to let them know that what they're doing is wrong? Don't they know that they're disturbing their parents? Don't they know they're causing a ruckus? I feel like all these things are learned because when you do something wrong, you get punished for it. And when you get punished for it, you associate that negative experience of that punishment with that action you did. And then okay, these two things, they don't go together. Just like when you burn yourself on the iron when you're a kid. Nobody had to tell you that iron is hot from then on. You know that that's a bad thing. Everything we do in this world, everything we experience in this world, it's learned. And that's its basics. Whatever studies or whatever you're talking about, that's BS. you learn everything in this world.
Okay, so what Mo just said about babies throwing temper tantrums because they should know right from wrong, that just doesn't make any sense. Just because you know right from wrong, that doesn't mean that you still don't do the wrong thing. Sometimes we're not perfect, we're still human. That doesn't contradict the fact that we know right from wrong. If we're going to use babies, the correct example would be to use something like, say, you see a lot of us grow up and our parents argue a lot or maybe abusive. You see that and you know that that's wrong. That's an example. A baby will see that and start crying. Whereas on the other hand, you'll see your parents laughing, smiling, having a good time, and the baby will laugh in response to that or smile in response to that. That's a good example. Throwing a temper tantrum, babies, that's just how that's what babies do. Like, if something goes wrong, they can't articulate and say, oh, I am upset right now. No, they're going to throw a temper tantrum.
I feel like we all are born with a sense of what's right or what's wrong. You might not know what it is, but I feel like as you grow, I guess as you get older, for me it was the whip. It was just whip. It was very, very easy. If you go to school and someone gave you food and they didn't ask you to whip, it was just whip. So the whip kind of like made me know, okay, this was wrong. Like, these things were wrong and I didn't need to do it. So I feel like as I go older, I realized that maybe it might not be the whip, like the physical whip. It will be other consequences. But like, I feel like, to be very, very frank, and basically like you're born with like a sense of knowing what's right or what's wrong, or like, but as you get older, you just learn like things happen and you're like, okay, this shit happened and this is what happened. Like, this was the result. So like, you just like adapt to what to your experiences, and I guess you just grow older. You get me?
I get where Aisha was coming from with the whole blank slate and veneer theory. Like, all the philosophers, Machiavellian stuff would say, like, if men were angels, then like we wouldn't need a government and all that stuff. But at the same time, like, I definitely feel like we are born with some sort of moral compass. Like, you can see it in babies and toddlers. Like, they're just predisposed to like being good. Like, at like 6 months, they start to share even like without like their parents like telling them that they have to and all that stuff. Like, so you can't really say that everything we do is like learned. I mean, definitely like, I guess how I would put this is, yes, we are, like, morality is innate, but it's fine-tuned by learning. Just like Bobby explained with the whole like whipping situation, him growing up and all that stuff.
So Bobby just completely contradicted himself. You said you were born with some type of moral compass, and then you used the example of being whipped. That's my point exactly. It was that whip that taught you that what you were doing was wrong. It's a learning experience. Everything in life is learning. You just proved my point. You know what I'm saying?
Muhammad's facts need to be thrown out the window because they're trash. Babies too young to have even learned what morality is they have some type of predisposed connection to goodness. They smile when something is good. Like, that's a known fact. Like, when kids, they see things they like, they smile. They see joy, they smile. So that's, throw it out the window. That's number one. Number two, I kind of agree with Bobby, and his point was not stupid. He didn't contradict himself. You are born with some type of moral compass. There's a baseline. There's like literally a baseline. So obviously things are learned in life. It's like nature versus nurture and stuff like that. You know, things are learned in life, yes, but you do know the difference between good and bad. And just because you know the difference between good and bad doesn't mean you don't do bad things sometimes. And like Chioma said, yeah, we're human. We're not perfect, so we are gonna do bad things sometimes. So all that Bob is saying, like, oh, he didn't contradict himself. You do have a moral compass, and as you grow, as everybody's been saying, your society kind of figures and shapes you up. Like, this is what's okay for this society, and this is what's not okay for this society. And just because you know the difference between good and bad doesn't mean you're not gonna still do bad things.
I think it's very tricky because there's been two sides. Like many people have said, babies are born with the moral compass, and they relate that to studies. And the other side is babies are taught to have a moral compass. I mean, I feel like one side is very constant and the other side is sketchy. The one side that's constant is like we are definitely influenced by our environment. But then if you look at the other side, which I would I'm deciding to call the sketchy side, and you relate that to studies. I mean, if you're going to say that, don't confuse morality with like you say like babies like have goodness in them. Like chill. Don't play yourself. Like morality is conforming to like acts of goodness. So don't just equate that to like happiness. Like you're just missing root. How are you sure that? Because babies are prone to do one or the other, but it's like you're just picking and choosing the one you want to believe that they have goodness in them. Babies also do bad. So why can't you also say that like it could be random, like they could do one or the other. You can't just pick one and say babies have goodness, therefore they are born with the moral compass.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys checked out last week's episode. Make sure to email us at officialcpconfidential@gmail.com for topics that you would like us to discuss. And our social media links will be in the description box below. Thank you guys.
So word around town is that these people are not subscribed to our channel.
Yes, I heard that as well.
Why you not subscribed?
Make sure y'all subscribe to our channel.
Right over there, right down below. That red button is just beaming in your face. Click it. Just go ahead and do it.